Good evening from San Ignacio Town. With the 9 o'clock news, I am Patrick Jones. In the headlines, tragedy at the youth hostel as 3 young girls perish in a Saturday afternoon fire. Woman dies after falling out of a vehicle on the Hummingbird Highway, and activities for Youth Week kickoff in Toledo. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories coming up after these messages.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east.
The Belize Tire Depot, your one-stop destination. What you will find is a first-class selection of solid, dependable, quality products from the names you can trust. We carry a full line of urea and SureTech tools and equipment to meet every need, from light maintenance around the house to heavy-duty fieldwork. Our tire workshop features the full array of Pirelli, Nexen, and Nankang tires for every vehicle and any terrain. Our trained technicians' #1 priority is to ensure you and your family's safety and security on the road. It's all here at the Belize Tire Depot. From reliable equipment, world-class time-tested tires, to sturdy, durable tools. Merchandise that's built to last with quality guaranteed.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
Here now is the news in details. There is enough bad news to fill an entire newscast and bring down the whole nation. But tonight we will choose to begin on an upbeat note as activities for Youth Week began on Sunday. In Toledo, an ecumenical service was held at the Machaca Outreach Center, followed by an afternoon of fun-filled activities. Kira Bowen Polonio is the senior youth officer responsible for the Stan Creek and Toledo districts. She spoke with TNC News via Facebook this afternoon about Youth Week activities.
Okay, well, on Sunday we had the opening ceremonies for the National Youth Week, which we held in the form of an ecumenical service and fun day. The theme for this year Youth Week is Youth, Let's Make the Dream Work with Teamwork. So the activities for the fun day all centered around that theme, and we had young people participating in activities to demonstrate their team building skills.
The young people who took part in the event, were they only from the Toledo district?
The ones who took part in this specific activity, yes, they were only from the Toledo district, but different activities were being held countrywide in all the different districts, similar to this one.
What other activities are planned for Youth Week?
In Youth Week Toledo, tomorrow will coincide with World AIDS Day. We will be out at the park having a mini health fair with the National AIDS Committee. So we will have information, booth display, we will have different fun games, especially for young people since it's Youth Week as well. On Wednesdays, our appreciation night. Our appreciation night is our version of a local award ceremony, because we know that not everybody from the Toledo district might be selected for the National Youth Award, but we have exemplary young people in our district that we want to highlight and let them know that we appreciate them. So we have our own little youth appreciation night. On Thursdays are movie night, and one of the big topics that have been coming up here in our office is love and relationships. So we will be showing a movie relating to love and relationship, and we have an expert from the community who will come in to tackle the questions as it relates to that topic. On Friday, the National Youth Award ceremony in the city, where we will participate and go and show support to those who were nominated from the district. On Saturday, we will stop in Danriga, where we will play basketball, volleyball, and football against a team from Danriga. And basically, that's it for Youth Week.
What is the significance of observing Youth Week?
Youth Week is held every year to highlight all the positive things that young people are doing across the country, and for us to give back to them and show them that we appreciate them.
Other activities for Youth Week are being held in the other districts and will culminate this weekend with the National Youth Award to be held in Belize City. While the young people of Toledo were taking part in activities to mark the opening of Youth Week, the families of 3 other young people were mourning their tragic death on Saturday afternoon. According to reports, just after 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, a fire broke out in one of the wooden buildings at the Princess Royal Youth Hostel, located at mile 21 on the George Price Highway. 3 teenage girls were trapped inside the burning building and perished in the blaze which gutted the building. The names of the 3 victims have been confirmed as 16-year-old Anna Melinda Carlos, 14-year-old Elizabeth McCoy, and 16-year-old Shadisha Arnold. Police today released some information regarding the tragic incident, saying that their preliminary investigations revealed that one of the victims reportedly lit a pillow on fire and it got out of control and quickly engulfed the building, trapping the 3 girls inside. The bodies of the girls were found after the fire department extinguished the blaze. In the aftermath of the tragic fire on Saturday afternoon, 3 employees of the youth hostel have been placed on administrative leave as an investigation to determine exactly what occurred is ongoing. When she spoke at a joint press conference this morning, the director of the Community Rehabilitation Department, Starla Bradley, gave a preliminary sketch of the sequence of events that led to the death of the girls. She explained that 2 female officers were on duty on Saturday when the fire broke out. According to Bradley, those 2 officers tried desperately to get the door to the room where the girls were opened, but they could not due to the thick smoke and fire. The head of the Community Rehabilitation Department says that the entire incident has traumatized the other children housed at the facility, as well as the staff who were present on Saturday. Counselors have been assigned to work with the traumatized residents of the youth hostel, and additional support from the Ministries of Health and Education have also been deployed. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Human Development, Judith Alpuche, has promised a full and thorough investigation to determine exactly what transpired on Saturday afternoon in order to fully deal with the incident. The independent investigation of Saturday's fire at the youth hostel is being led by former magistrate and current executive director of the National Committee for Families and Children, Margaret Nicholas. Oversight support for the investigation is being provided by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. A timeline for the conclusion of the investigation has not been laid out. Meanwhile, the Special Envoy for Women and Children, Kim Simplice Barrow, today sent out a press release expressing deepest condolences to the families of Anna Carlos, Elizabeth McCoy, and Shadisha Arnold in light of their tragic and untimely passing. The statement reads, and we quote, This deeply saddening incident is a harsh reminder of how imperative it is to always keep the best interest of our children at heart, both at home and in institutions. End of quote. The special envoy also welcomed the naming of former family court magistrate, or that should be family court director, Margaret Nicholas, to lead the investigation into the matter and the oversight that will come from UNICEF. A 50-year-old woman died on Friday afternoon when she fell out of the pan of a pickup truck. Nellie Lopez, a resident of Steadfast Village in the Stan Creek district, sustained serious head and body injuries in the incident, which happened just after 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon between miles 16 and 17 on the Hummingbird Highway. Initial investigations revealed that Lopez and others were seated in the pan of a green Mazda pickup truck, which was being driven at the time by 19-year-old Edgar Lopez. Upon reaching the area between miles 16 and 17, the driver of the pickup truck told the police that the brakes failed and he swerved to avoid a collision. That was when the driver's mother was flung from the pan of the pickup truck to the pavement. Police investigations continue. You're watching the 9 o'clock news. We will have more of today's stories for you right after these messages. More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrack stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrack Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
Welcome back to the 9 o'clock news. A youth from Armenia Village in the Cayo district is hospitalized in Belize City following a stabbing incident on Saturday morning. 18-year-old Daniel Esevado was stabbed to the neck and lower right side of the back as he stood near a store in the village just before 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. Police say their preliminary investigation revealed that Esevado was accosted by two male persons during which he was stabbed. Esevado was taken first to the Western Regional Hospital and later transferred to the Carl Huchner Memorial in Belize City, where he was listed in critical condition. Police investigations continue. A Belize City man has been arrested and charged for the crime of keeping an unlicensed firearm and ammunition without a gun license. 33-year-old naturalized Belizean Nayef Kadur Agfa was arrested after officers of the Gang Suppression Unit found a .22 pistol with one live round of ammunition inside of a building he owns on Gentle Avenue. According to a short press release from the GSU, when officers arrived at the residence to search for unlicensed firearms, they saw Agfa about to exit the gate and question him. When officers informed Agfa that a search would be conducted, the GSU release said that Agfa told them that he had a firearm inside a drawer behind the door. That drawer was then opened, which led to the discovery of the pistol. Chalk Creek Resort on the outskirts of San Ignacio town is the winner of numerous international awards, ranging from guest accommodations to cuisine to its world-famous ecotourism culture. Tonight we share with you a documentary feature on the Chalk Creek Resort featuring one of the owners.
My name is Mick Fleming. I and my wife are the general managers and co-owners of the lodge at Chalk Creek. And we have lived in Belize now since 1977. Arrived in country with a suitcase each and $600 to our name, with little idea of what we were going to be doing down here, or even whether we were going to be staying in Belize. And here we are 36 years later, still here. We're in the western part of Belize, right close to the Guatemalan border in the foothills of the Maya Mountains. We have 23 thatch-roofed cottages, which have gone from being extremely simple when we first started off in 1981 to being rather more sort of ornate and rather more sort of, I'm not sure whether luxurious is quite the name one, because I'm never quite sure in the bush how you become luxurious, but put it this way, comfortable. Our tourism product really has developed over the course of time, almost exclusively guided by our own feelings of living in Belize and what Belize is all about, and also very much, of course, along the lines of what we find our guests enjoy. I mean, I think that we've really just we followed our own intuitions and what God created in this on this planet. This is really what we had to work with. So our infrastructure, and this was long obviously before ecotourism or anything else, or green tourism was ever really talked about. Our infrastructure was a wonderful river, incredible trees, 300 to 400 different species of birds and wildlife around the place, and just a really nice tranquil sort of surrounding. And so this is kind of what was already there was our infrastructure. So everything was worked around whatever was here. If there was a lovely tree here, obviously that lovely tree was going to stay. And if we could find a way that we could tuck a cottage in there and it had a nice view of the river and it didn't look into the next door neighbor's cabin or whatever, that's how it all developed. So it was never suddenly 23 rooms. We started with one room and then to a second, and over the course of time, even up to this date now, we're still doing little alterations and adding on where we can and when we can afford to, etc., etc. We've fortunately been able to find something which has been able to give us a very reasonable way of living, but working within it, and also being able to preserve, honestly, the heritage of the country. We have 137 staff now, and mostly from the villages right around where we live, and we now have 6 full-time naturalist staff actually on the property, and another 6 full-time naturalists / driver guides who are all making a very reasonable salary, making a living out of something which perhaps in the past they never really thought of as being particularly important or of interest, but now the more they're involved in it and the more that they see that people are interested, they themselves have become incredibly interested. So the whole conservation field now is being supported not by just people like ourselves, but by many of our, well, let's say most of our staff, I would like to think, and others in the in the industry. Honestly, it's a most wonderful, tranquil kind of a setting we have here. I think it's a chance for people to catch up with their lives. So many of our guests live these really hectic, crazy sort of moments in, whether they're in New York City or, in Houston or wherever they happen to be, where everything's got to happen right now and people are fried. You know, they're not even courteous amongst themselves because everything's supposed to be done right away. Coming down here is really just that wonderful break away from all of that, and to be able to actually sit down here and be a part of nature. I don't want that to sound too corny, but the trouble is when you're oftentimes in the first world, you know, the nature has been kind of sort of pushed out to the outside. So when they come here, I think this is really a chance to slow down and catch up with themselves and the world they live in. You know, we have 335 acres on the property, which anybody is allowed to explore and move around. We have, you know, probably 7 or 8 miles of trails. We have an organic farm where we raise a lot of the produce, which we use on the table. So, you know, I would say that people are coming down here to catch up with themselves. By the time they finish moving around here, they could have gained a few pounds, but they could also have lost a few pounds because there's actually quite a lot of exercise going on in between the eating and the drinking. You know, we have our own horses. We have 28 riding horses here, which we breed on property. We have canoes. We have any number of trips. We have 5 of our own vehicles, which we use to take people out to the different ruins or to cave tubing and any number of kind of sort of more kind of adventure type of things, but culturally rich at the same time. Having seen what we had to go through when we were putting in the lodge over here, the big thing here was a lot of hillsides, and so we didn't want to do any major excavation, so we just used telephone poles, put them in the ground, level them off, and so first of all, of course, it keeps them out of the water, and there was absolutely no degradation at all to the environment whatsoever. It worked very, very well for us. Yeah, these are the bay leaf, what we call bay leaf palms, or in Spanish they call them guano, and these are what we use to thatch our roofs with. There's 2 different kinds. There's a cahoon leaf, which is a much bigger leaf, and then these ones, which are fan-shaped, and you just kind of pull them all together and put them over a barilla, which runs all the way around the roof, and they fold up nicely, and then you just put layer after layer after layer on top of each other. It's the most efficient and long-lasting of all the palm thatches.
My name's Brian Young. I'm the environmental officer here at the lodge at Chalk Creek. The Natural History Center was established in the year of 1993 to be the first to ever been established in the country of Belize. Thousands of visitors passes through the Natural History Center and leaves with a head full of information on natural history of Belize. We have our guests, in-house guests, visits the Natural History Center. We also have thousands of school kids from the infant level all the way up to the university level that comes to the lodge at Chalk Creek to visit our Natural History Center. Also had some groups of caterpillars. So this is the one species we breed here at the lodge at Chalk Creek. They go by the name of the blue morpho, or the Morphopellides. The species here ranges as far as from southern Mexico through Central America and on to the Caribbean islands. Once we collect the eggs from inside the cage, we take them down beneath the center, the breeding center, where they are dated, they're counted, dated, and placed into a container to go through their incubation period. So in an effort to expand the importance of the butterflies in our ecosystem, we have what is our butterfly on the road, whereby we would equip ourselves and we would visit the rural communities, taking this project to their home, to their village. We would reach out to them, taking our project to their schools.
So yes, we have a 30-acre organic farm at the back of the property. The property is 330 odd acres, and at the back of that we have this farm, and we grow all sorts of fruits and vegetables, and we have sheep and we have goats, and it's been coming together over a period of about 10 or 12 years, I suppose. We're growing probably almost a third of what we consume. It would be impossible to really grow all of that on the size of farm that we have and with the variety of fruits and veggies that we use. But little by little, we're progressing, and I think one of the new ventures that we're moving into now is the use of greenhouses, because we have so much problems with whitefly. And certainly my first greenhouse now, which is 2 months into its production, is very promising. You saw that yesterday, and I'm really quite excited about the way that looks. And all things being equal, we'll probably do 2 or 3 more of those, next year. Right, and this is probably one of the most important things that we do is this composting, because it does do exactly what you said. It reuses all the grass that we cut on the lawns, or any of the grass we cut around here, any of the old grass that we feed to the goats, or leaves we feed to the goats, and what they don't eat comes into here. All the horse manure comes here, the goat manure comes in here, all the bedding from the horses comes here, all the shavings from the wood shop come in here. So there's really nothing either carbon based or nitrogenous based which doesn't come back into the compost here. And we just, if you actually dig down into here, and this has only been in here 3 days, but that's so hot in here, I don't know whether you can see, is the steam coming up from here, but it's hotter than hell. And this just breaks down and breaks down and breaks down until it turns into a really nice, fine sort of form of dirt, and we then put that back onto the gardens. Because when you've taken away the bush, and the trees and things which used to naturally fertilize and create all this organic matter for the soil, when you're growing without that, plants are always using up that organic matter, so you got to replace it one way or the other. So, I mean, if I had this shed full all the time, I'd be the happiest man alive. We never ever have enough compost. Okay, well, the tin cans, we have little manual crushers, which a friend of ours made up here. And so every tin can which gets used gets crushed up, from this size down to this size, and we put them in bags. And whenever we have a building project or something, we put it in the foundations of a building. We're always building something. Glass, the same thing. We have a glass crusher, so all of our bottles, instead of having to take them to the dump, and that kind of volume-wise, bottles like this, when it's crushed, it goes down to that. So we save on fuel and everything else. We put all that into a grinder, into a crusher, and then whenever we're putting in pathways or anything else with cement, it's just silica anyway, so we use it like sand. Cardboard boxes and things, all of our cardboard comes back here, and we lay it down between the rows because we don't use herbicide, and over the top of the cardboard we'll put plant and leaf or something so it doesn't look quite so unattractive, and eventually, of course, over the course of a year that will turn back and go back into dirt again, and also help to keep the weeds down. We've always had horses because, as I was mentioning, when we first came to Belize, we didn't have a vehicle for 7 years, so we either went to town in a dugout canoe, or we went by horseback. Originally, we only had one horse, so only one of us could go. So yes, we've always had horses, and since we had the land, and I guess it's a great way for people to move around the whole property here, and actually even to go off the property. and we now have a very nice stables. We have very good quality horses which have all been bred on the property. They're good size, they're strong, they're well trained, and just, well, I mean, you can see them. I think that speaks for themselves, doesn't it? But I really believe that when people leave from here, they have left with a little bit of magic, which has nothing to do with us as individuals. To me, when we first came to this little piece of land, there was just a certain kind of a feeling, which I've never ever been able to tell you or anybody what exactly it was, other than the fact it really felt good. And this place, even though it's a lot more developed now than it was in the old days, it still has that same kind of magic feeling to it. So I think these are some of the things that people would be able to find here.
Later in the week, we will have more on the recent accomplishments of the Chalk Creek Resort, including its participation as a corporate citizen in the development of the community it serves. The news on the national channel.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
The final segment of the news tonight is a look at the weather, and it shows that a relatively cool northeasterly airflow is currently the prevailing factor in our weather at the start of the work week. This current condition will support a slight increase in moisture. The general forecast for Belize and her coastal waters is for cloudy skies tonight. Tomorrow will be sunny with some cloudy spells. Winds over the open sea and along the coast will be northerly to northeasterly at 5 to 15 knots. The sea state will be choppy. Low temperatures at dawn will be around 72 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 68 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 64 degrees Fahrenheit up in the hills. High temperatures tomorrow will range from the mid-80s along the coast to the upper 80s and low 90s inland. It will be a comfortable 75 degrees Fahrenheit up at the exposed areas of the mountain Pine Ridge and along the Maya Mountains in the south. The tides. There will be a high tide at a minute to 1 o'clock in the morning. A low tide follows at 8:22 also in the morning. The sun will rise at 7 minutes past 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. It will set at 16 minutes past 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. The extended forecast, valid through to Wednesday afternoon, is for mainly fair weather with only isolated showers developing. And that is a look at the weather with information provided by forecaster Michael Gentle at the Belize Weather Bureau. And finally in the news tonight, there is a beautiful addition to the San Ignacio landscape. Residents and visitors will notice a wall mural that was painted on the back fence of the compound where the old Novellos Bus Terminal was located at the end of Paslow Lane and West Street. The official inauguration of the mural, which is titled A Painted Conversation, was held last Friday. Organizers of the project say the collaborative effort involved the primary and secondary school students from the Cayo district, with inputs from Galen University and the San Ignacio community. To end the news, here are the headlines again. Tragedy at the youth hostel as 3 young girls perish in a Saturday afternoon fire. Woman dies after falling out of a vehicle on the Hummingbird Highway, and activities for Youth Week kick off in Toledo. With the headlines, we end this edition of the 9 o'clock news. Thank you for joining us. I am Patrick Jones. Have a good evening and a good night.